Hello, YouTube. We are about a minute out for the Path of Exile Keepers of the Flame announcement stream. I'm sponsored for this, as always. But you and I both know I'd be watching it anyways. They've already shown a bunch of quality of life stuff on Twitter. And I know that I am sponsored for an hour. So this could be a pretty crazy hour of a bunch of quality of life updates, as well as the new expansion. I'm expecting a lot of look at this. So here we go. Let's hear, it's probably gonna be Mark, right? It's not gonna be Jonathan telling us who he is at the start of this.
I'm Jonathan Rogers from Grinding Gear Games, and welcome to GGG Live.
It is Jonathan.
Today we're going to show you an exclusive reveal of Path of Exile, Keepers of the Flame, which is coming out 1 week from now on October the 31st. Twitch drops are enabled in today's live stream, so you'll be able to claim your Hive-born crawler pet by following the instructions below. Without further ado, let's roll the trailer for Path of Exile, Keepers of the Flame.
All right, here we go.
We, the Keepers of the Flame, serve the will of the Dreamer. His instructions whispered from beyond the wall of sleep.
Wow.
But now, the Hiveborn are here, on Rayclast, and they seek to poison our world. We must close their breaches, destroy their hives, slay their breach lords. And by his gifts, the Dreamer provides. They brought this war to our world, but we shall end it, whatever it takes.
This is a nasty looking league. Grafts? Oh shit, new skills. What? Holy! Asynchronous trade, baby! We're so back. We're so back.
Now, as you can see, this expansion is a true sequel to the Breach League, first introduced to the game in 2016. We felt like it was time to progress the story of Breach, bringing with it a slew of new updates to the base game. In today's stream, we'll take you on a deep dive into Path of Exile, Keepers of the Flame, beginning with the League mechanic, covering all the fearsome challenges it presents, and the new twisted ways you'll be able to empower your character. After that, we'll dive into the new ascendancy options possible with Bloodline classes. Then we'll cover the much anticipated and synchronous trade system coming to Path of Exile 1. Afterwards, we'll move into the new Uber Pinnacle bosses, how to access them, and some new drops worthy of the added difficulty. Finally, we'll cover some notable quality of life improvements before moving on to our supporter packs and challenge rewards.
Okay.
We'll then have a live Q&A session where Ziggy D will ask Path of Exile's game directors Mark and myself your questions from Twitch chat.
We will not be watching the Q&A,
we'll drop the full
by the
patch
way.
notes
I don't
at
think.
11 a.m. New Zealand time or 3 p.m. Pacific. So let's get started.
Oh.
I'll hand things over to Mark
So
to
3
introduce the
hours
new
for
league.
patch notes.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile. Breach is a beloved league that has had an iconic history in PoE. We intend to honour that legacy with our first ever sequel league, Keepers of the Flame. This develops every aspect of Breach, adding new layers to discover, richer lore,
I think this
scarier
is
bosses,
live.
and entirely new mechanics. That said, This is still Breach, so you will still be opening breaches and slaying hordes of otherworldly monsters. The Breach Lords have found the means to stabilize the connection between their realm and Rayclast. Now, with their grip tightening, we learn their true goal in our world: conquest. The threat they pose has now escalated to home soil. On the coast in Act 1, you'll encounter Aelith, the founder of the Keepers of the Flame. This is a monastic order sworn to defend Rayclast from the Breach Lords. The exit to the Mudflats has been barricaded by Hiveborn, Breach monsters that are working to claim every inch of Rayclast.
What?
Aelith can grant you a small spark of the power of the Flame, allowing you to blast away their barricade and move onwards. Once you enter the Mudflats, you'll find it infested with Breach monsters. They appear to be constructing a kind of hive, creating strange shapes and structures that absolutely don't belong. Time to purge them with fire. Aelith needs you to protect her as she empowers the Flame to do so. Hold off the assault long enough, and she'll be able to demolish the hive with cleansing flame. In other areas, the gap between worlds is strained. Here, you'll find a more familiar encounter with a new twist. A massive breach hand sunders the space between dimensions, and touching it will open an unstable breach, causing monsters to flood in. If you can slaughter them quickly enough, you can stabilize the breach. This brazen action can draw the attention of Vroon, Marshal of Zesht, who will do everything it can to stop you.
Okay.
Defeating this boss will permanently seal the breach, severing another connection between the Breach Lord's world and Rayclast. These stabilized breaches are similar to what a breach once was, but with upgraded monsters, a success condition to shoot for, UI tracking to keep the player informed of their progress through the encounter, and satisfying feedback when you do manage to complete the encounter. We've taken all the lessons we've learned since the release of Breach 9 years ago and improved upon it in every way we can. However, much of the joy of Breach came from its simplicity. While we want to modernize the mechanic, we don't want to undermine the core experience. You're still mostly just slaughtering hordes of enemies in a circle. Finally, in endgame areas you might run into breach constructions that have been left unopposed for too long, and have grown into their full twisted glory. Breach hives. Towering flesh-crafted cities in the sky. These are the visions of the Breach Lords made real in Rayclast, teeming with breach monsters. You must raid and destroy these cities with the help of Aelith and her flame. In some of these hives, you may even encounter some of the Breach Lords themselves, who will not be happy you're intruding on their planned conquest. Now, let's talk loot. Of course, being in exile is hard work, and you're unlikely to help entirely out of the goodness of your heart.
Ability?
Fortunately, Aelith has power and rewards aplenty, born of the Breach Realm itself, to offer you for your assistance. Help her, and she'll bring you to the Monastery of the Keepers, the hallowed halls of her order. Here, you'll find the Genesis Tree, the growing heart of the Keeper's power. On interacting with it, you'll find that this tree has a tree. That's right, it couldn't be Path of Exile unless the tree also had a tree. More importantly, the Genesis Tree is an engine of unholy creation, and a profitable one. As you complete breach encounters and work more with Aelith, you'll be able to grow the Genesis Tree larger and larger, sprouting additional limbs. Each of these limbs, you'll notice, has their own inventories. These can be used for an unusual method of crafting new items. With this system, you'll be able to grow currency, uniques, equipment, and a new kind of otherworldly item, grafts. Grafts are breach hands grown directly from the Genesis Tree, born of the same flesh and sinew as the invading monsters. These fuse directly to your body, in a completely safe process.
Ew.
Don't worry about it. With grafts, you can harness the power of the breach. Some provide passive benefits like this, or this, but they can also grant a wide selection of powerful skills. These graft skills can provide a flexible way to fill gaps in your build, offering everything from damage to potent defensive buffs and crowd control.
Whoa.
For example, the Battering All Graft will call massive arms to erupt from the earth, stunning all those they hit.
What the hell?
For some additional pack clearing power, you could consider the Squalling Tool Graft. When commanded, this graft will cast Dance in the White, creating a deadly ice tornado which aggressively seeks enemies and fires off bursts of ricocheting projectiles when you critically strike with skills. For some further utility and a useful buff, try out the Storming Ash Graft. This can be commanded to call down a ring of bolts from the sky that will leave behind the new Radiant Ground. Radiant Ground grants a potent damage buff to allies standing within it and makes their hit damage lucky. If you're simply after raw damage, look no further than the Erupting Zoth Graft, which causes massive eruptions of fire where you command, which then re-erupt when you Warcry.
Oh,
There are
shit.
a total of 16 different graft types you can grow, each with their own skill. You can even unlock a second graft slot as you progress through Aelith's questline.
Wow.
So feel free to mix and match Flesh Zone horrors to your heart's content.
That does
Now,
seem strong.
grafts aren't just here to make you stronger. They are also your means of feeding the Genesis tree, which needs constant supplies of graft blood to grow anything useful. You can do this by defeating breach monsters, which will leave behind blood that your graft will automatically collect. When you feed this blood to the tree, your allocated passives will be put to work. This section of the Genesis tree can be used to grow new grafts for you, which the Genesis tree will then birth in a gruesome display. Basic passives on the tree might increase item rarity of birthed grafts, or the chance to birth additional grafts. These passives can target specific types of grafts, and this passive causes grafts to be birthed with a random amount of quality.
Stop saying
Quality
birth.
improves the amount of blood that can be stored by your grafts. This section of the Genesis tree births currency items. Basic passives can result in more or better currency. Allocate this passive to sometimes cause a shower of currency to burst forth from the flesh of the tree. Yeah, it's a bit gross, but working with the organic matter of a bunch of dead otherworldly creatures was never going to be a clean affair.
Fair.
Grafts themselves are born of a different world,
All the paid
so
stuff
are
is just
unmodifiable
cosmetic?
by most
Correct.
currencies. However, with this passive, the Genesis tree can occasionally grow fleshy mockeries of currency orbs. These function like augmentation orbs, regal orbs, or exalted orbs, but they work on your grafts instead of normal gear.
Oh.
Yep, it's graft crafting. Allocating this passive can result in Foulborn currencies. This Foulborn Exalted Orb, for instance, behaves as a normal Exalted Orb, except it guarantees a higher tier modifier. By locking out a large portion of the lower rolls, a normal Exalted Orb would be able to hit.
Oh, so it's PoE2 crafting.
The
a
largest
little bit.
section of the Genesis tree is used to grow rare equipment items. For these, you have a lot of agency to influence the type and modifiers on your grown item. For example, you can specifically target boots with a dexterity requirement, with an increased chance for speed modifiers, and reduced chance for cold modifiers.
Wow.
Or maybe you'd prefer to look for a two-handed axe with increased chance for physical modifiers.
That's really cool.
This section of the tree is for growing unique items. Similar to the equipment section, there are passives that let you target growing specific types of uniques or rarer uniques. The process of growth is not always a perfect one, however, and can result in some defects. This passive can result in birthed uniques becoming Foulborn, which mutates one of the existing modifiers on the item into a new one, resulting in some interesting new ways to use that unique. For example, this Foulborn Quill Rain no longer has increased projectile speed, but instead has increased area of effect.
Whoa.
Another Foulborn Quill Rain could replace the mana gained on hit with the much more powerful modifier where insufficient mana doesn't prevent your bow attacks. Here are some other examples.
Oh my god, that gold rim.
This passive
Wait,
even
that
gives a
did
rare
that say
chance
elemental
for
overload?
Foulborn uniques to have multiple different modifiers mutated. I'm sure you'll come up with some extremely powerful uses for these. We'll leave it up to you to discover what this mysterious part of the Genesis tree can grow. So, ultimately, you'll be slaying masses of breach monsters, harvesting blood with the aid of your grafts,
I think log in,
feeding that
boys.
to the Genesis tree, growing some items and better grafts,
Log in.
and back again to the slaughter. As with all our challenge leagues, this league will come with a set of 40 challenges to pursue, and completing them will award you with the Keeper of the Flame armor
Log
set,
in.
allowing you to truly embrace becoming a monk and worshipping the Dreamer. Now, graph skills won't be the only new tools to play with. In 327, we're also adding a collection of new skill and support gems. Let's go over them now. Kinetic Rain is a new wand attack, which covers the ground in unstable kinetic energy. These hazards collapse at the slightest touch, releasing their energies into any unfortunate soul who happens to be standing on them. With enough projectiles
good.
and area of effect, an enterprising exile could carpet the world in dangerous kinetic force. Wall of Force creates a barrier of kinetic power, causing allied projectiles to ricochet towards targets
What
automatically.
the hell?
Drop one behind a boss, and redirect the bolts of your armors. I'm sure you'll find ways to break this one.
What? The Maven was
Conflagration
dying
is a
so
new
fast.
bow attack, which rains down fiery bolts from above that stick into the ground and pulse as you approach. Once you get close enough, these bolts detonate, causing ravaging ignites.
New toxic rain?
These bolts chain react, allowing you to create fields of incendiary destruction. Thunderstorm is a bow attack, which creates a whirling storm of
Lot of
wind and
bow
lightning where it
attacks.
lands. While you're within the storm, it will rapidly grow, until it becomes violently thunderous with lightning-infused clouds.
That looks great.
At this point, leaving the storm will cause it to detonate, dealing damage to everything within and releasing a flurry of tornadoes in all directions. Attacking with Kinetic Fusillade will create hovering orbs of energy. These linger for a few moments above you, before zipping off to nearby targets, chaining between them, then detonating.
That looks okay.
Living Lightning support will bring to life living sparks of energy, elemental minions that zap through packs of enemies with speed and ease. Use these alongside your
Looks
spellcasting
okay.
to augment your pack clearing abilities, or find whatever means possible to cover the world in living sparks of ruin. Windburst support unleashes chaotic tornadoes as you attack, which ricochet around wildly and quickly. These deal moderate damage as they travel, but will explode into a highly damaging burst when they expire.
Looks good.
So it's a choice between scaling their duration up to get better coverage, or down to access the burst more quickly. Kinetic Instability is a support gem to go along with the new wand
Whoa.
attacks that causes enemies slain to leave behind those same orbs of shimmering
looks
energy
cool.
that Kinetic Rain creates. One might ponder just how many orbs you can create if you were to use both. In 327, exiles will be able to absorb the power of some of the bosses they defeat.
So Melee's just
These
dead.
take the form of new Ascendancy class options, called Bloodlines. Bloodline classes are a new means of character customization in the endgame. They are secondary Ascendancy classes that are unlocked by defeating specific endgame bosses. They are allocated with your normal Ascendancy points, and you'll have to choose how many of your points go into the original Ascendancy and how many into your Bloodline class.
Oh, wow.
This means there is a nigh limitless ability to mix and match here, as you could choose to invest just a couple points into your Bloodline, or max it out, and you could take any Bloodline with any base Ascendancy class that you see fit.
Wow.
To unlock your Bloodline, hunt down the endgame boss whose power you desire, and defeat them, or have a friend help, and claim the power for your own. There are 10 Bloodline classes to discover. Bosses who offer this power are typically associated with past leagues, giving additional reasons to engage with that league content.
man.
Let's run over a few examples. The Chaos Bloodline will be offered to you by the Trial Master, if you manage to succeed his final challenge. With his blessing,
Oh, so
you can
this is
greatly
pretty late
augment your
game.
Val skills in different ways. Priest of Yalmak lets you use Vow skills much more often, while Priest of Kopek makes it harder to build up Vow skills, but makes them far more powerful.
Wow.
Or take Corruption's Embrace, which grants more Vow Keystone powers the more corrupted items you have equipped. The Ashabi bloodline can be gained by, you guessed it, defeating Ashabi.
Wow.
Her abilities are drawn from the 3 types of life force that manifest within as Marian spirits. The Wild Bear rewards you with adrenaline for generating rage. The Vivid Cat gives your elusive buffs a chance to refresh, as well as making you more stealthy while elusive. The Primal Owl allows your unleashed spells to reoccur many additional times,
Wow.
and get stronger for each time they reoccur.
Okay, these are like...
The Nameless bloodline comes from the King in the Mists.
These are
Be
giga
forewarned,
end game.
his menacing power comes at a great cost. With the Unseen Hand, you can equip a 3rd ring,
Jesus.
but you'll have to decide if that comes at the expense of having no amulet, no belt, or no flasks.
Oh,
Unlight
wow.
Silhouette adds a hefty life cost to all your spells, but they deal additional chaos damage based on the amount of life spent.
Mark, where does
Of course,
the ring go?
There is more to come. What powers might you glean from delving deep underneath
Mark,
Rayclass to
where
fight
does the
Orb,
ring go,
Crystal
Mark?
King? What secrets can you learn from Lycia, Herald of the Scourge, waiting at the end of the Forbidden Sanctum? As you can imagine, there are countless possible combinations with the system. You could be a Slayer that embraces corruption and vile power, or perhaps you'll play an Occultist that doubles down on their dark power by integrating the Nameless bloodline. We are excited to see what crazy and interesting builds players come up with. In the most recent Path of Exile 2 expansion, the Third Edict, we introduced a much anticipated feature, fully asynchronous trade.
It was godlike.
It was a fantastic success. So now we're excited to announce that we'll also be adding this feature into Path of Exile 1. When you reach Act 6, you'll be able to find
Awesome.
Faustus in Lion Eye's Watch. Previously, he just operated the currency exchange. Now, he will also act as a steward for your merchants tabs.
Awesome.
These are where you can place items for sale, for direct
Awesome.
and instant purchase by other players, even when you're not online.
I mean, that's gonna...
To list an item, simply place it in the tab and
That's
select
crazy.
a currency and an amount.
I'll let you know.
Once listed, other players will be able to find the item by searching for it via the trade website
It's so good.
or the new in-game market search. To purchase something for yourself, it's as easy as hitting this button, which will teleport you to the seller's hideout,
It's so
where you can
good.
view their merchants tabs, buy the item, and also view the rest of their wares in case something else catches your eye. Every
so
purchase
good.
costs a small fee of gold, as Faustus takes his cut. To account for this further drain on gold, acquisition and cost balance elsewhere in the game has been adjusted. Anything you've managed to sell successfully will have your profits collected here, in a separate tab to claim at your leisure. To be clear, previous means of trading, such as via pre-existing premium stash tabs and the website, will still function just as before. Merchants tabs, and the asynchronous trading that comes with them, are an entirely additive feature on top of the already existing methods to trade.
Yeah, but don't
You
use
might
that other
find
shit.
yourself needing the trade system to buy some upgrades, because this update also introduces 3 new Uber Pinnacle boss fights. These encounters are manifested from the memories of Zana, and in her long torment, they have festered into something truly deadly.
Oh, wow.
These fights offer an imposing challenge, alongside powerful rewards. In order to gain access, similar to existing Uber Pinnacle fights, you'll need to discover fragments dropped by Tier 17 map bosses.
Oh,
Each
God.
attempt at the new Uber Pinnacle fights will require 5 of these. Let's dig
Whoa.
into some of the challenges you'll need to face in these new Uber versions. In
I
the
will never
original
see these.
incarnation of Neglect fight, the statues can be used to block the laser beams to hide behind, giving you an opportunity to avoid being shocked, frozen, or killed. When you run near these statues, they activate and allow you to reposition them. While activated, they will not stop the lasers, meaning you want to position them well, then avoid them. However, in the Uber version of this fight, instead of being a safe haven, the statues will refract the laser beams, causing a ruckus of energy to cover the arena. Activating them will prevent the refraction, so unlike the base fight, where you want to position them well and then avoid them, you'll be wanting to constantly keep these statues active. But then you have to deal with their assault of attacks.
What the hell?
While fighting the incarnation of fear, these fiery orbs will slowly clutter up the arena, locking off portions of it until you bait the boss into detonating them himself with his thrown spear. When Uberified, these orbs are attached by a flaming leash to the boss, rotating around him constantly. More and more will spawn as the fight goes on, making it even more imperative that you clean them up by cleverly using the boss's abilities against him. Normally in the Incarnation of Dread fight, during the bullet hell phase, you have to acquire a red rose, run it to the boss, then collect a blue rose, doing the same, causing it to get heavy stunned and interrupting its mechanic. In the Uber version, you have to do the same, but in order to get the blue rose, you have to defeat the Incarnation of Neglect, and to get the red rose, you have to defeat the Incarnation of Fear. Good luck. Given the difficulty of these bosses, their rewards should be worth your while. Let's take a look at some. From the Uber Incarnation of Neglect fight, we have Bitter Instinct, a spiky shield that turns retaliatory strikes into preemptive ones, making it just a matter of time before the long arm of justice crushes your foes.
Huh.
Alternatively, you might find Festering Resentment, a poisoned blade with an unending supply of toxins built into the hilt.
Holy!
These toxins are put to good use,
That's an insane
causing every
item.
spell you trigger to be capable of poisoning with all damage it deals, enabling a truly crazy trigger-centric poison ruckus.
Yeah, that's an insane item.
And from the Uber Incarnation of Dread, the Hallowed Monarch, a counterpart to the Dark Monarch, which focuses more heavily on investing into one or a few minions, rather than growing your hordes to massive proportions.
Whoa.
Storm Rayclast, with your chosen few at your side, stealing power from your enemies as you go. We've got a number of quality of life changes to bring to 327 as well. Many of which you may have seen already in some of our pre-livestream teasers, but for those who haven't, Heist is a mechanic which has long frustrated some players who may otherwise have been interested in the rewards it has to offer, but have no desire to grind through the early progress of finding and running low-level contracts to get all of the rogues to their maximum level. Well, starting in 327, Heist rogues will automatically begin at maximum level, so you can start your dubious criminal career without all the busy work.
Don't know if I will run them, but
Points
could be
invested
big.
into your Atlas passive tree will now be refundable with gold. Just speak to Kerak to do so.
It's
For
good.
players who love jumping between strategies, there's also an option to instantly refund your entire tree, which of course can now also be done with your regular passive tree as well.
It's good.
Now you can make all your decisions with no regrets.
Look at the chat.
Well, maybe some regrets. You no longer need to purchase bestiary orbs. You can now itemize beasts for free directly from your bestiary.
Huge.
From late Act 1, you can now mass identify your items at an NPC in every town, and from Helena in your hideout. This does not require Scrolls of Wisdom at all.
Huge.
While using an Alteration Orb, you can now hold Alt to swap to using an Augmentation Orb, if one is available. Opening a Blight Chest will now open all other Blight Chests near it. Rogue's disenchanting services can now be accessed from towns and hideouts. Kerak missions now have a handy icon to show at a glance what kind of mission they are.
Good.
Holding down Control and right-clicking on Stacked Decks will now continuously open them
Stacked
to
what?
your inventory, notifying you in chat what the outcome is. If you still want to open them direct to the ground, to let your loot filter provide a dose of dopamine, you can still do that too by also holding Shift.
Hell yeah. That's what I want right
Vile
there.
orbs can be used on monsters encased in essences, to the same effect that remnants of corruption have. When multiple skill gems are ready to level at the same time, you'll now be able to click this button to level them all up at once.
Oh my god!
Next up, we're going to be talking about our new League supporter packs. Today, we're launching 2 new series of supporter packs, the Champion of Theopolis and the Verdant Magus packs. Each tier contains the pack's full face value in points, alongside several exclusive microtransactions. As always, the microtransactions in these packs are purely cosmetic and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way.
That's a weird MTX.
The Champion of Theopolis series of supporter packs contains 6 exclusive microtransactions. Manifest a champion's ferocity, as the Lion's Might unique finisher effect rips your enemies to shreds. Open the Champion of Theopolis portal to end your crusade through maps in the style expected of a true victor of the arena. Defeat your enemies like a true gladiator, wearing the Grand Champion of Theopolis armor set. The armor awarded only to the most elite warriors of the Grand Arena. Take charge of the situation and storm into combat with the Flaming Minotaur's Quicksilver Flask effect.
Dude.
The Champion's Podium map device rises up to honor the glory you've achieved as you activate it.
Ascend the stairs and stand atop the platform as you enter your maps. Each flame surrounding the platform represents a remaining use on your portal.
That's awesome.
The burden-back billy goat carries all the supplies necessary for a campsite as he travels behind you in battle. When placed in a hideout, instead of roaming around like your other pets, their supplies are deployed, creating a small camp where you can access your stash and providing a place to take a load off while you rest next to the campfire. The Verdant Magus series contains 6 exclusive microtransactions.
The hell?
Having Faustus sell your items on your behalf is great and all, but sometimes you just want to feel a little bit more shady about your dealings.
What?
The Back Alley Trader hideout decoration is more secretive with your trades, creating distance between you and your customers. Note that until 3.27 is released, this Back Alley Trader will only serve as your currency exchange. Once it's out, it will be updated to have the new managed shop option to also facilitate your trades.
I like that a lot.
The Verdant Wayfinder pet is a loyal companion to any Master Magus. As you approach waypoints, it envelops them with its vines, guiding you throughout Rayclast. Control Earth and nature itself, as the Great Verdant Magus armor set envelops you in the ancient power now lost to time. There's also a matching back attachment included. Remnants of the forest ripple out from within you with the Verdant Magus level up effect equipped, restoring life to the corrupted land. Call on an ancient golem to use their power to create a safe passage for you to retreat through with the Arcane Golem portal.
I like that portal.
As a Supreme Verdant Magus, you can travel to your Arcane Isle hideout. A cluster of islands held together by ancient magic passed down between elite mages.
Ollie likes that one. Ollie likes that one.
Stand atop your tower and relish the great heights you've reached above those who have not harnessed the arcane. These packs are now available for purchase on both PC and console, and will remain so during Path of Exile, Keepers of the Flame.
Chad, if you're interested in any of these, click the link down below the stream.
Any microtransactions from these supporter packs will be made available for use
Shout
in
out to
Path of Exile 2.
us.
Meanwhile, the Crypt Keeper and Frisian Magistrate packs leave the store forever at the launch of the Keepers of the Flame League. So now's your last chance to purchase them.
I might have to buy
Thank you so much for your ongoing support. We're just about to start the Q&A with Ziggy D.
Oh, we are going to watch a little bit of the Q&A.
We'll post the full patch notes for Path of Exile, Keepers of the Flame,
or so, the Q&A.
at 11 AM New Zealand time, 3 PM Pacific. With release at the end of next week, our community team will be posting crucial information you'll need for the release. Keep an eye on the news. Thanks for joining us today and checking out our latest developments.
Here it comes.
We're looking forward to holding off the Breachlord's conquest, crafting gruesome grafts, planning dozens of Bloodline-empowered builds, and filling out our tree's tree. We hope you all join us.
Man, I haven't seen a PoE chat this positive in a long time.
G'day Exiles and welcome to the post-reveal discussion and Q&A with Jonathan and Mark, lead guys who make games.
PoE 2 is
I believe
pretty
was
positive,
discussed
yeah.
as the titles.
Yeah,
That's the
official title. Yeah.
Excellent. I like it. It's good. We're talking about how to inflate their
Guys,
titles.
is PoE back?
327 Keepers of the Flame, the reveal we just had there was, I think, quite a banger, but I've been even more impressed with what I've been playing here in the office with some of that, so we'll get into that in a moment. But I'm curious, this is kind of like a special kind of reveal day for PoE 1 fans, as I think it marks a return to schedule for us. You announced this plan to do the 4-month cycle for the games, two twos, and it seems to be working.
God, that
Yeah,
is
I mean,
true.
it's certainly hard, I'll tell you that, right? Like, it can be pretty brutal on some of the stuff when it's like, every 2 months you got a deadline. But
It never
yeah, I
left.
mean, look, we have to
True.
do it, right? Like, I mean, that was always the intention, to get, the regular schedule. It's super important. So we have to make it happen. We have to make sure that is something that we can do going forward. But yeah, I would, like, I'm honestly, I'm so happy that we managed to, to get everything back. And I think it helps a lot.
I think like things feel a lot less like crazy here this visit for me, like, and things seem a bit more of a finished state as well from what I've been looking at. So
well, we're putting a lot more effort into sort of getting that production process down, making sure that everything's going well. Like, we're hiring producers at the moment, just by the way, in case anyone's out there is like looking for as a production job. It's something that we're really concentrating on, making sure that because when you've got a schedule like this, when it's this tight, you have to be really, really careful, because like I would say one of the hardest things that we didn't expect, trying to make sure that we get the schedule this short, is you start to become really vulnerable to just like random things, like this person gets sick or like something like that, and that's like suddenly it's like a real challenge. So that's been real hard to adapt to. But yeah, I mean, honestly, we have to do it.
Because PoE 2's 030 kind of, we missed it by a week or two as well. We're like, normally that's okay.
Yeah.
You slip a week or two, but now all of a sudden, now you got a bit 2 week more overlap with 327. And it certainly has less room for error. But again, that's why more production staff should help. And we are just going to get better at it.
Wait, so that means we're going to have a PoE 2 league in
326
December,
and now 327.
right?
Mostly on schedule, give or take. One was, you could argue one's an anomaly, 2 is a pattern, so hopefully it should continue as normal. But we'll get better at it 100%, so we'll work out the kinks. But it was always going to be some growing pains to going to 6 releases a year for across both Path of Exiles. So.
yeah, I remember thinking when you guys were doing 4 releases a year that was crazy. So 6 is pretty wild, but it seems to be happening. So fingers crossed it keeps happening. Is the contingency just that, like, occasionally you just might delay by a few weeks here?
I don't want to. I really want to be real strict about it. Like,
we said we'd stick to the time and adapt the content around the time. Like, consistency is key. So hopefully we can keep doing that. That's still our current philosophy and plan. So
I think you were telling me once before, Jonathan, that when you have that for a while, it kind of helps everyone get an idea of like scoping a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, it helps with everything, right? It helps with the players just feeling the consistency. It helps with like developers. Like it's just overall like a way better state to be in.
So, Breach 2, aka Keepers of the Flame. It's the first real direct sequel league in PoE. Now, I know we're kind of sequeling with stuff in PoE 2. There's like definitely follow-ups there, but this is the actual first true sequel league, and it seems like people are pretty keen on the idea. I think the reception's been pretty good so far, first impressions. What are your guys' thoughts on doing a sequel? Were you like anti-sequel, pro-sequel? Because I know people kind of...
I would say personally that, like, so whenever you do a sequel, you're entering a dangerous territory, because people who didn't like the original could then now be like, oh, I'm disappointed because like as soon as they hear that it's a sequel to something they didn't like, they're like, so you could just be ruling out a bunch of people in your audience right away. Now, Breaches, I would say, is a pretty popular one, so like there's less danger there. Yeah. But effectively, in order to make a sequel to something, I think you really have to be doing something that had to be a real banger back when you did it, so that people actually, are definitely on board from the beginning. In general, I'd say we'd prefer to do stuff that's like new, but I think this one was a good fit. It was a good example of something to do, and people are liking it. So it's
I mean, as Jonathan said, yes, like some leagues are more divisive than others. Some have more kind of X factor out there gameplay. With the whole Blight Tower defense and some of them are more maps and a bit more crazy, and immediately you do turn off some people, and we know that going in.
Does anyone know if the stash purchases from PoE 2 carry over to 1? I know it works the other way around.
Of monsters. You're just killing. It's the
Yes.
classic. We talk about reinventing the wheel. Here we talk about not reinventing the killing monsters in circles, and it has that. And by the way, that is a massive thing when doing the sequel. Is we're like, we must keep the killing monsters in circle, because the last thing I want to do is, and this is another risk of a sequel, is take something that people love and then just ruin it.
Right.
We really focused on the weaknesses of what Breach had, because it was nine years ago, almost to date. I think it was. I think it was December 9 years ago.
That
so
might have been.
there. Yeah, just if you want to feel a bit old for a moment there.
My back, ow.
And I actually still remember working on it. It does not feel like it was that long ago.
That might have been like second or third league I ever
the
played.
5 Breach Lords back when, and put together all the monsters and all that interesting stuff back then. And I was like, what was I doing? Like we took the player characters, put some micros on them, and dunked them in red paint.
That was the style at the time.
It was like, so it's not only been fun to come back and do a sequel, which, by the way, we've codenamed Breakwall, which is obviously a given. But
important.
We've coming with like 9 years of lessons learned, including with all the lessons learned from PoE 2 as well, and then coming back and being like, what do we know now that we didn't know back then? And it's like, okay, let's not sabotage the gameplay, the killing of monsters, the killing monsters in a circle, and let's focus on the weaknesses. And so then we looked at, okay, well, nowadays, if we were to do a league, it generally comes with, some character power arc. You've got some crafting system. There's generally a meta system, and then that's where you get like the Grafts, the Genesis tree, and all that stuff come in. And again, focusing on that, less of like, focusing on the combat mechanic this time around, because we kind of knew that was a success.
Yeah.
You'll find that. It might be less trivial with some of the other contents that's a little bit more like crazy with respect to combat. But we'll see.
I'm definitely eager to dive into like basically all of the things you mentioned there. But out of interest, what's like a league mechanic or a expansion that you either would or wouldn't want to sequel at some point? Like, what would be a bad example? Is maybe interesting.
Well, I think the one that you said there with the tower defense stuff, it's just like that would be very divisive, right? Immediately, if we said doing a sequel in PoE 1 to that, there'd be immediately a bunch of people would be like, yeah,
I like Blood.
I know. A lot of people don't,
you'll
right?
get both ends of this. I think you'll get the most passionate people wanting it,
right?
and then you'll get the most people that hate it on the other side.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
That being said, like, it isn't like, oh no, that means Blight's never getting improved.
Right.
There's differences between overhauling and improving a league.
Yeah.
And there's and obviously doing a narrative sequel where you kind of step away from some of it, and so really here it's like, yes, Blight, there's so many leagues, right? Insert all of them will get attention. Sometimes they'll just be quality of life, similar to what we've done with Heist this time round, because honestly, that probably deserves more. And then other times it'll just be an upgrade.
I certainly wouldn't want people to say, oh yeah, we're just going to do sequels.
Original Breach was 2.5. I did start 3.0.
It's just a thing we decided to do here, and maybe we'll do it again sometime. But most of the time, I think people want new stuff and different new things.
I like the revisit, so I wonder. There's definitely some lore and stuff I'd like to see expanded. Like, I feel like Harbinger, for example, touched on some stuff that was maybe only scratching the surface.
Part of what allows us to do the sequel here, by the way, and from a more production point of view, is that because we did the Twisted Domain and the new Breach monsters in PoE 2. We got to utilize the monsters. So we didn't take the bosses from PoE 2. We made full from scratch boss fights for this version for Keepers of the Flame. Cool. But for the monsters, a lot of it's reusing the models, the animations, the rigging, a lot of the art side of it. And because we get to do that, we get to then focus our attention on all those other things that we would otherwise have to have a bunch of resources dedicated to. So like there's a kind of like two birds, one stone going on there, where we not only got to do it, we got to do it in a more cost-effective way that allowed us to focus on other features that are going in the expansion. So, win-win for players and for us in that regard. But it would be less trivial with other sequels or to other leagues where we don't necessarily have all the monsters and everything made like that. So, not to say it's impossible, but it's just an interesting factor that came up that allowed us to do more here than we might, if we don't forward think enough or forward plan enough. And I mean quite far in advance, because like making these full monsters from scratch is not a short term process. We might not be able to do for some other leagues. So, just a kind of fun internal kind of consideration that we made.
Well, like an interesting thing here as well with the fact that
As someone who's coming from Grim Dawn, is it an easy learning curve to start a character? Yes.
I keep it as oversimplified as possible because I definitely have delved into the deep end of
But-
the lore of this stuff. But so to
There's like
simplify
a-
it, Pee-wee-1, Chayula,
bigger
fight
end
them.
game.
They're like the pinnacle
Like a
boss
bigger
from the,
gap.
first game, and yet in Pee-wee 2 they're
At the
like
end.
explicitly not there as part of the boss of that, and also there's this lore kind of exploring the idea that they helped humanity at some point. So I'm curious if this expansion is kind of filling out the story in the in between here, maybe explaining some of the stuff.
It 100% is. That was a huge other win we got to do here, because really there was like, okay, there's the breaches in PoE 1, previous to Keepers of the Flame, and then there's kind of breaches in PoE 2 with the Twisted Domain, and it's like, wait, how did we get here? What happened? Okay, so it's 25 years. It's what's going on here? So we wanted to. Given again, because 9 years ago we weren't really putting that much into the narrative of leagues and into you'd find back then
Ollie.
we're not far from Onslaught League back then, right? It was just 20% of some stats. So, and even when we had Anarchy, there was Exiles, but like there's named characters, but we didn't really have voice acting for anything. Like we've kind of stepped up our game in a lot of delivery of that. So now we get to come back and go, let's establish a bit more about Breach. Obviously, there's uniques and flavor texts historically, but yeah, we got to establish a little bit more, add some interesting stuff to it. Meanwhile, also, progressing the narrative towards what if people are playing PoE 2 see. Now, that being said, if you just play PoE 2, you don't need to know all of this. If you just play PoE 1, good on you. You now know it all. It's all entirely optional information to know.
Thanks, all. Looking forward to digging in.
Yeah,
Hell
you kind of
man.
have this.
I hope you enjoy it.
Worth noting, on the kind of Chiola arc, there's a bit of like, is he good, is he bad kind of thing going on. Still to be determined, at least for the players.
I've got a cult following, but that doesn't necessarily mean one way or the other, does it?
He was a baddie here. You're an acolyte of Chiola over there.
Yeah.
What goes on in between?
I was reading the flavor text of the Acolyte of Chayula this morning, and I'm like, even that doesn't really kind of suggests that maybe it's not a good idea to be following them, but but there's power.
But like the monastery of the Keepers of the Flame is actually
Does
where
Ollie
the
prefer
monk
PoE 1 or
trained
2?
and from PoE 2 grew up and all of that stuff. So
He's
kind of little
probably
fun
a
bits there. People playing both
PoE 2
games will
nerd,
appreciate it. It's
I
still
would think.
great. It's going to be great in either
You need to go
game, and it
out.
allows us to develop.
He needs to go out.
Because
I'll be right back.
look, they're both set in Ray class. It's still a shared narrative, and it's nice to be able to like evolve all of that. It's honestly been fun.
BRB.
Really, honestly, doing all of that.
It's cool to expand kind of like some of the story of the Ascendancies there as well. Like you're getting a bit more of a tie in there as well. But you said the monks trained there, though. I thought you were just telling me earlier that the monks trained here in the studio. What's
Yeah, so technically now, officially, the monk has been trained by one of our IT administrators here. Since that was he was the person he's I'm not sure what the martial art is, but he's very well trained. I believe a black belt, and we used him for our mocap reference.
That's so cool.
Hopefully he doesn't mind me mentioning that, but it's
Awesome.
it's quite fun. I think our animators enjoyed that one a little bit as well. So
That's awesome. You guys hadn't really done too much of that in the past, or
You mean mocap?
yeah, like
I mean, the animators always film visual references. So, they've got a room basically where they go up and they're just, doing all the animation, acting out. They're often not actually mocapping technically with all of the suit and everything, but they're often filming that and then doing animation to it. So it's pretty common.
I'd say one of the most useful pieces of technology that we've been able to benefit from is it's a literally single phone shot mocap and very quick from recording to in-game animation. It works really well
talking about
for
mocap?
animating obviously humans, but
helps.
also for when it's involving just a single human. It's like ultra quick. Like if you have two and they have to interact and make contact, it's not very good at handling that. But it's been insanely fast. Just you just get a single small tripod with a phone, and you can record a human in chucking in game pretty rapidly. So that's been amazing, and honestly, almost all of the human animations you'll now see in game where it's not someone punching or hitting another person. So like, it's not the best for combat and kind of scripted cinematic interactions between characters, but just those kind of freestanding town idols and all of that stuff, yeah, you can do pretty rapidly now. It's been a pretty big improvement, I'd say, in a cool way. So
yeah, and I mean, you're getting like PoE2 quality stuff in Path of Exile 1 as well. Like, I've definitely seen things like that's a lot more going on there than there usually is in PoE 1. You're just talking about the fact that the original bosses were just exiles with extra color filters on them, right?
I mean, everything new that goes into PoE 1 like has been a lot higher standard than some of the early stuff for a very long time, right? Because it's not like you have people being like, oh, you know what, I'm going to make this worse quality because it's going in PoE 1. Like, obviously they're going to make something look as good as we can make it, right?
So artists are artists,
exactly, right? So
I mean, the good quality art.
You could probably phone it in a bit more, I reckon.
They don't. No, an artist doesn't want to do that, right? They want to make stuff that's good. So
who wants to do that?
Yeah,
I
That's a quick way to remove their job satisfaction.
Right.
Make bad stuff.
Yeah.
It's too good. Yeah, fair enough. So you mentioned the sanctity of the kill monster in Circle. So on the mechanical front, I noticed that there's actually two distinct types of breaches here. There's very much close to the original one, but then there's this hive one. What are the differences between the two and how they work?
We've got 4 encounters total. At the more common one is the kind of what we're saying is the hive. So the breach have come through those the hand portals. They've stabilized the breach and are now building their hives. And so you'll come across there's heaps of walls and constructs and some half organic, half inorganic. And you get the little spider things, which I think is the Twitch drop for the stream. You get those and they're kind of building and they're like putting together like molecule by molecule building these hives. And that's the one where you come in and you get given the power of the Keepers of the Flame, and that can just incinerate away all of the material, and you're kind of just like running around pretending to be a Righteous Fire build for a moment.
I'll just note as well, like, you don't have to click any doors or like jump into any walls. They just evaporate before
you. Just run around. You run around so burning stuff. It's kind of satisfying. You see ash going everywhere.
Good.
There's a couple of things going on there. So generally when you get to the center, you summon an Aelith, you start the encounter. And effectively just kill a whole bunch of monsters. They're trying to get to her, they're trying to kill her. They're not super effective at it. We're not doing the whole like, they are persistently wanting to aggro on her. They're going to try and kill you. That's honestly more of an immersive flavor thing than it is like meant to be too interruptive of a mechanic or anything like that. Again, because I wanted to just keep killing monsters being the primary focus.
But there is a thing where the more walls you burn, the more
there's amongst all the walls you can get these like spawners, these like hive portals, where the monsters can then come through. So if you want to activate more, to have more monsters, have more difficulty and get more reward, you want to burn as many of those hive spawners as possible, and then they will turn into portals once the fight begins. If you just want to run to the center, start the fight, do the fight and leave, go for it. The other thing here is, though, that, of course, obviously this can be a bit of a clear, speedy thing where it's like, So, during those encounters, using the power of the purple flame, these kind of purple flames scatter out, and each of them kind of has a skill attached, just like an oh shit button. And so, like, if you're getting overwhelmed, there's like different things you can just click if you wanted to, if you needed to. Most powerful characters, you'll be fine. Just as it kind of like will send out a giant nuke and clear stuff, or like create this like flame wall, and anything that runs into it will burn. And that's honestly more to help out players that are kind of struggling or on the weaker end and aren't like, able to kind of keep up with it. So it just normalizes the difference between bottom end and top end a bit. Again, not meant to be intrusive, not meant to be like complicated. We kept it simple, and it's just like 99% of it.
I mean, just when you boil it down, it's basically just like a fast-paced wave defense. Like, just survive 6-8 waves of
the mechanic looks
Russian
good
at you pretty fast, and but it doesn't have that same clear speed pressure that the like basic one has.
Yeah. So that's one encounter. Second encounter is like the traditional breach, the one that players have, historically been playing. You activate a thing, the breach expands out. So these are breaches that haven't been stabilized yet.
Yeah.
So they haven't come through to build their hive. So you activate it, it starts expanding, you kill all the monsters, it's revealing, and then once you've killed enough, and if you can kill enough, like, it can be kind of hard early game, but like towards end game, that's your goal. You'll notice a progress bar filling up, and once the breach gets to the end, that means that it will become stable. And so what was going to happen is when it becomes stable, the Breach are going to send through their like difficult monsters, their elites, their enforcers, you know, their front line to come through and, you know, secure the area so they can send through their like little worker spiders to start building their hives. So this is like a yet to be a hive, and so you obviously don't witness all of that.
I never really think about the story
you kill enough monsters
aspect. I just kill the mobs.
Portal activates and a bunch of monsters.
I never think about the story of
floods through, and so now you have to go back to the center and fight all that, kill everything, defeat the boss, get the loot, and then everything drops then and there. Once you successfully do that. If you can't do it, run away. That's up to you. You know, you can still play it the old way if you want and like not get the so much.
I wish they would drop the Q&A or condense it. It's a little too much small talk. I want patch notes. Yeah.
Or you want to kill the either waves of hordes of monsters coming through the portal.
The Q&A is
that like locks
it's
open
for I
once
think
you
like
reach
the
that
true
stabilization
hardcore.
Yeah,
point.
it locks
You don't have
open
to
the time.
rush.
Yeah, so that's another good thing. Yeah, so the existing Breach. I mean, obviously. It's pretty outdated and even imbalanced, and often people were killing the Breach Lords, the wild ones, in like, you know, a matter of seconds. But, you know, I wanted to make sure that boss fight didn't have a time condition. So yeah, once it stabilizes, that's it. You just once you kill them, it closes. You have infinite time to kill that boss and fight those monsters. You're not just like, oh my god, I got to do it. So like, it is a more substantial, and generally because you've cleared everything in that circle.
Yeah, I mean,
now,
it's
like,
at the same time, it is good.
Arena. You've got like a nice clear area where you can fight that boss.
There's
and
no
focus
other
on
time
killing
for
that
them
boss.
to do this.
Now he has minions in a regard, so obviously it's not just one-on-one, but you know that mechanic's like quite cool. So that's like
Jonathan's
the martial
sideburns
Zesh
are
fight.
wavy.
He has some specific drops. You generally want to kill him. And then, yeah, so that's
Never
encounter
seen
number 2. And then, yeah, encounter number 3. I know who's going on a bit of a thing here, but these next two are a bit quicker. Encounter number 3 is the kind of sky fortresses you saw. It's very similar to the first fight. It's kind of like, oh, we didn't stop this hive. Some of these hives have been getting built for weeks or whatever, and now they're like, you know, full giant mega structures. So you climb the beanstalk, as I called it, the Breach beanstalk. You get up to the Sky Fortress, and honestly, it's kind of just like a map.
I'm not being rude. I'm just saying. I've never
seen. You can just clear the area and leave.
Sideburns like that.
Taking your ores with you, but in the center is like the hive encounter, the very first one, like a wave-based encounter. It's just a lot more epic,
for the 110.
and you have to, you know, the same exact thing, except Aelith's like, yeah, it's going to take a lot more explosive power to destroy the rest of this hive and seal this portal, so you might want to get out of here. So generally speaking, yeah, once you've killed all the waves, you then have to get out of the area before Aelith burns the entire thing to the ground.
Cool.
Normally you can survive that, not in this case. You might want to get out of there. Once you do, you get all the loot. Sweet. You're not going to get that encounter too frequently, but, you know, it can be a little bit of fun, a little bit more action-packed when you're trying to escape. And then the fourth encounter is pretty similar to that, except it's just an area with your Pinnacle boss, your in-game boss fight at the end.
And you basically didn't show those in the trailer, because I did know that people were like wondering why you showed kind of so much of the Uber bosses for the regular content, but you didn't really show any of these guys.
We generally avoid showing bosses for sure, especially new ones. I'll you know, you get a silhouette of it, a single emerge shot, and yeah, for sure. Like for the Ubers, we're like, well, they've got like 10. 15 skills each. Let's show one mechanic we've changed of each, you know? Maybe not the best option. Like, I know people like their full mystery, so like maybe lesson learned in the future might just show nothing. But yeah, we only did show one of all of their skills that have changed,
That's
you know,
crazy.
just so people get a general grasp of how they're changing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I probably, given the feedback, I'm probably just not going to show those again. So,
fair enough.
You know, we'll let it be a mystery. But yeah.
So this skill tree, you actually did it. You made a skill tree. Well done.
The tree.
But this tree is quite fascinating, because it's not just like a meta progression system for the league or something. Like, there is that. It is progressing, but it's also, it is a crafting system. It's a tree that is a crafting system. And from messing around with that, like,
I think he needs to go out.
It feels
I'll
kind
be
of
right
brilliant.
back.
Like,
jeez.
This is a really good idea.
You're messing up the end of the sponsor stream. Real quick, when before I go, chat, once again, shout out to Path of Exile,
kind of a mixture
Grinding
from,
Gear Games for his always sponsoring
Octavian
us.
And
for these Path of Exile streams, you guys can click the link down below the stream, or exclamation point keepers in the chat. If you're watching on YouTube, it's in the description video.
I think the original tree that
when I get
spawns
back,
items or grows items
probably
and
dip
hatches
out of the
items came from
Q&A.
Octavian.
we'll see what they're talking
and the
about.
Grafts
I'll be right
mojo
back.
as well. He's got a
He's
nice
cooking.
creative brain on that
he's
one.
going.
Comes up with some cool ideas. I like that kind of out there style of design, which is good. And so eventually we took that kind of idea. I was the one who brought Breach to the table and was like, oh, we can unify these. And that came from a interesting thing where in the Twisted Domain in PoE 2, you get these you have these trees made of hands that the environment artists made. And I really love them. And I'm like, normally because you're on a timer in that area and you're going hard, you're fighting monsters, you don't really get to appreciate a lot of the art assets in there.
Zoom.
And I was like, wow, damn, I want to use those trees, but have them, because I think they're petrified in that version. So I was like, what does that look like when it's a bit more alive, a bit more organic, a bit more gross? We kind of came up with this tree, and tree that hatches items, and it has this fruit, and then we were like, nah, like I don't want just a tree that has fruit. It needs to be gross and dark and horror. It's like this is a gothic world, and so we obviously went a little bit more crazy with the theming
is this
on
the
it
Q&A
all.
part? Yes.
But I like it, right? It is dark. It's like a little. You've got this alien-esque demon species, right?
It's like squeezing the items out, like with a bunch of plus.
Yeah, it kind of came like that, and then it's like, wow, it needs a meta progression. The good thing about the tree having a passive tree is we get to reuse all the same code that our passive trees use. And then the other, because it's good because then you don't have to make a completely bespoke system. And again, it's picking your battles, being able to focus more on what the nodes do as opposed to the underlying system.
I think what's pretty interesting about it though is the way that it actually for crafting is quite interesting how it sort of encapsulates the idea that you've got various dependent choices. You don't normally think about crafting in that way, but that's really what crafting is. And so it kind of means that it's actually a surprisingly natural interface for crafting.
It works.
It works really well. And so, that's kind of a pretty interesting one. I don't think I've ever seen it before, someone doing anything quite like that. So
I've seen some crafting trees and stuff, but they're usually separate or there's some little bit. But yes, that's what I was thinking, because I'm thinking a lot about how do you communicate crafting, because it's a pretty complicated thing generally, even in its simplest in Path of Exile. But this does seem to have a very natural, more understandable way of communicating it, because you're allocating the nodes for the craft. You get to see the structure of the craft.
If you guys,
how did we go this? So we've got character.
If you guys want to keep watching,
we've got world area trees. Is this the first crafting tree?
Well, the Q&A, you can go over to twitch.tv/Path of Exile.
The Crucible one.
We're going to dip out.
That was items having trees. That wasn't a tree to craft. You could kind of argue Scourge is like the whole microwave mechanic, kind of. But it wasn't really a tree. It was like a...
You need 5% for the drop.
I don't know. It might be our first true.
The drops. Go watch their stream. Go watch their stream.
Can't help but wonder,
finish your drop over there.
I just can't help but wonder if you accidentally stumbled upon one of the potential solutions to how do you communicate crafting to players, because it's so hard to do. It's I don't know, maybe this has applications.
Go watch their stream.
We'll see
Go do it.
And there's a lot to expand.
But I like you. Then come back afterwards.
And
Q&A is too in depth. I will be playing Path of Exile, Keepers of the Flame next week for a little sponsored stream. And I generally play every single Path of Exile launch. We're going to see what happens. There's a lot of other stuff coming out next week as well. So we'll see how that goes. But for now, that's it. Hey, on YouTube, we're going to swap over to another game. If you want to join us, you can go and hit the subscribe button.